This time on the Families Matter Most podcast.
And you matter and you count. It's not like you just had kids and then all of a sudden now it's like you're done. Your life is over now. You've just given up everything for these people. There's room for both.
What's your life purpose? How do you feel like you fit into your life? Who are you really as a person outside of this mom role? How are you dealing with your big emotions?
Every time Jen Dean speaks, I can see hope, knowledge, expertise, wisdom, and love.
When Jen Dean speaks about parenting, we make sure that we are there to listen because we know we will get valuable advice.
Families Matter Most with Jen Dean.
She doesn't just give skills for us to be better parents, but she teaches us how to reach our children's hearts. And at the end of the day, that's what truly matters.
Hey, welcome to the Families Matter Most podcast. I have a guest today that I'm excited for you to get to know. Her name is Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Thanks for joining.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. It's so much fun to hang out with you.
So Teresa and I have gotten to know each other because for the past few years, we've both been speakers at an online conference. So, it's funny. A decade ago, we would have thought, oh no, you can't make close friends online, but absolutely, you can. You can get to know some awesome people online. So Teresa and I are now besties.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just thought it would be great for you to meet her. She's written a book. She has an online program. I'm going to get her to share more about it. But first, I have to tell a big thank you to Connexus Credit Union. Next time you're stuck in traffic or stuck in snow, here's some things to think about. Instead of why the car in front of you is going so slow, or if the car behind you is trying to hitch a ride on your bumper, think about these happy thoughts. What if your bank was committed to working with you to achieve your goals? What if they cared enough to get to know you? What if they weren't successful unless you were? That's Connexus Credit Union. Come and see why things are different there. Stop by any branch to learn more about how Connexus cares. Thank you, Connexus, for supporting Families Matter Most podcast. We love you, of course. Teresa, okay, tell us about what came first, the book or the online program? Like, how did you get started? And we have to tell everyone what your book is about and where to find it.
Officially, the book came first, but it really was the website came first, maybe 10 or 15 years. I've been, writing for as long as I can ever remember, but pretty much from the first couple weeks of homeschooling, I needed an out, and it was writing and processing all the stuff that was going on. So, and my natural penchant for engaging mentoring type interactions and trying to encourage women. That's been my lifetime experience too.
If you're not a homeschool parent, stay with us because we're going to talk about self-care. We're going to talk about how to take care of you. And that matters whether you're homeschooling or not. So if you're a mom, if you're a dad, if you're a parent, if you look after little tiny humans, you need to stay with us because there's going to be some tips that you can apply that will help you. But a lot of my listeners are either full-time homeschooling or they feel like they might as well be because of the past few years with kids being in school and then out of school. And here's the work at home. It's been a little bit of chaos and craziness for these moms. So wherever you're at, full-time homeschooling, trial homeschooling, or you've done it work from home and you're like never again homeschooling, wherever you are, stay with us because Teresa has some great tips for you. Okay. So Teresa, you eventually decided to turn this blog into a book.
I actually have 4 books out of this blog. So I've been writing for so long, but when I look back and I'm still rewriting posts because how I framed things way back in the day in my early homeschool days, but even in my early parenting days is so different than it is now 21 years into parenting. But it was a great way to process and understand what I really think about all the different elements of family and parenting. And it was really useful as almost a vent or a very objective friend. So that was the beginning of my start. But for probably the 3rd year into homeschooling was when I hit a wall for the first time and realized that I can't do this without addressing my needs or addressing who am I as a mom? Who am I outside of the mom role? And really coming to terms with my own needs. And that is not something I anticipated as a parent or as a mom.
Oh, I come across that all the time, these moms, and maybe you feel this way, even listening to this, you're like, that's me. I've lost myself. I used to have hobbies. I used to do fun things. And now I don't even know what I would enjoy anymore. You come across that a lot. Is that what you felt?
That's how I felt at that point. And I realized I didn't have established boundaries. There were a lot of boundary issues that I had at that time that I didn't recognize as boundary issues. I just assumed that I'm mom, therefore I will meet everyone's needs. Mm-hmm. And I will be a constant available source of whatever everybody needs around me. And you could say burned out, but you could also say, I just felt like I needed to put the kids on the big yellow school bus and be done with it.
Yeah.
And I knew in my soul that wasn't the solution. I knew that wasn't the ultimate thing that I wanted, because I chose homeschooling once upon a time for the intention of connecting with my kids and building these memories with my kids. But dang, it was a lot. It was very demanding. And it was at that point that a friend had said to me, check out this Brené Brown TEDx talk. And it was about shame and vulnerability. And I don't know exactly what she said, but something in it reminded me that I need to actually look at myself as a separate human being with separate needs.
And you matter and you count. It's not like you just had kids and then all of a sudden now it's like you're done. Your life is over now. You've just given up everything for these people. There's room for both. Like so many of us have felt that. And I know so many people are resonating. How did you climb out of that hole?
Well, I actually came into into parenthood with the assumption that is what I want to be for the rest of my life. I'm going to be a mom to 10 kids. That was the original plan.
Oh boy. Okay.
And I stopped at 4, which I thought I did well. But, that was my intention originally. So the idea of having an identity outside of mother was never really a thing for me. But I would say that there's been many different approaches to how I've really come out of that. And I continue to, especially as I'm coaching other moms. I'm learning so much from so many different women, from different stories, different family experiences, and seeing what I saw clearly for a moment in my 3rd year of homeschooling, that I am a separate human being outside of my mom role. What really helped me, what started me on that journey, was hearing a discussion from Daniel Amen, author of Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. He, in a session, a seminar session, shared, you have to ask yourself these 3 questions when you're having really big emotions. It is 1, what is the feeling that you're feeling right now? What's the thought behind that feeling? And what's the story of the thought? And it was that beginning, and it wasn't actually Daniel Amen who originated those discussion points, but that was like a key for me to help me understand what I'm feeling, or even that I had feelings that mattered, and what were the thoughts that were the triggers, because there's always a thought behind the feeling, and what were the thoughts that I was having, what was the big story of thoughts that I was experiencing. Just acknowledging that and allowing myself to feel that and allowing myself to dig deep into that almost was like a way to release myself from the intensity of it, distance myself from it, and understand myself a bit more.
That is so good. I feel like we could just stop and unpack that and just spend a whole ton of time on that. So just for everyone taking notes, there's 3 questions. When you're in the middle of a big feeling, you feel like you're going to lose it on the kids. You feel like the worst mother that ever walked the face of the earth. You feel like nothing is ever going to change and it's always going to be this hard forever. Ask yourself these 3 questions. First is, what is the feeling? And then number 2, what is the thought behind the feeling? And then the 3rd question is, what is the story behind these thoughts? And that completely aligns with how I work with clients. We talk about it differently, but it's the same. It's still, we tell a story in our brain, and we kind of run off of that story, and it's not always true. So that's perfect. Write those questions down. And next time you're in the middle of it's crazy time and you're about to cancel Christmas and birthdays, then you go through those 3 questions. That's fantastic, Teresa. And now fast forward, you have been homeschooling all this time. Did you decide to do the yellow school bus?
No, I didn't. Someone asked me actually at the same conference that you and I were at a couple weeks ago, that what's your inspiration to continue homeschooling? Once upon a time, I would have said freedom, but now I would say life purpose, because I've come to understand that I'm able to fuel my child's interests and really see them, hear them, understand them more because I'm with them all the time, and help encourage an education that's really focused towards who they really are and who they're meant to be on this earth. And I also have the time to do that for myself. So when those hard days come, because they always do, and just like you're so matter of fact with the people that you're working with, that listen, these days come, these days when you say, geez, did I really just do that?
Did I say that out loud?
Exactly. I mean, if there was a fly on the wall and they're looking, or somebody else is watching us, would we be proud of how we engaged? Not always. We have those days.
Right.
And I, as a mom, been around for a while, I want to say to those moms, you're going to have those days. And the way to truly unravel that is to both be accepting of your humanness and also, where's it coming from? What's it about? Because sometimes it's bigger than maybe somebody else has an experience in the same, issue, and you've seen them unravel it differently, but maybe your story is different than theirs. And you just need to go deep into your own story to try and to understand who you are, why you're triggered by what you're triggered by. And it's a process. And I don't think you're ever going to fully get it and figure it all out.
There's always more. There's always more work to be done, but freedom, like to have the freedom to not feel like you are trapped by your own emotions, to not feel like you are powerless. So worth it. So worth it. Teresa, you've done the work. What she's talking about isn't like just like a one time, like, oh, I went for coffee and journaled and now everything's great. No, this is doing the work year after year and just continually pouring in. And that is admirable, because there's a reason lots of people don't do that.
Yeah,
it's hard to look at yourself and to be willing to accept that some things aren't great and maybe you need to change, or maybe you need to acknowledge that there's some hurt there, maybe some trauma, some pain, some fear. None of these are easy. There's a reason we avoid all of this, right?
We're amazing models, though. When we're doing it, we're not just doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for our kids, with or without them signing up to watch us do it. They are watching us doing it. And so they're learning the skills naturally. Of course, there's a lot of discussion nowadays on addressing our kids' big emotions, which there should be, but that presumes that we are dealing with our own big emotions.
Absolutely. And also, I think in addition to modeling it by them seeing that, moms, dads are also putting in the work and doing hard things, I also think it's really valuable that our kids are even learning the verbiage. They're just learning the language of being comfortable talking about emotions and feelings. One of my kids the other day was saying, that they overreacted, they were upset. And then they came back and said, I'm really sorry. The story I'm telling myself in my head is, I'm like, what a win.
Yes.
I couldn't do that until I was in my 40s.
Exactly. I also had that experience the last few weeks, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this stuff until I was 36, I think.
Oh, yes. So to encourage anyone who's nervous about, if I do it badly, of course we're going to do it badly.
Amen, sister.
We're going to do it terribly. We're going to get it wrong a lot. But I think it's that action of we're going to continue. We're going to press on. We're going to keep trying. That's going to speak to the people around us for sure. So I want to encourage you, if you're on the fence, do it. Book whatever, whether it's, licensed therapy, whether it's coaching from me or from Teresa. Teresa, tell me what kind of coaching you do.
Well, I would have said once upon a time that it was just homeschool mentoring, and almost every conversation, probably 9 out of 10 conversations, is really life coaching focus. What is it that someone really believes about an education? That concept comes up, but also, what's your life purpose? How do you feel like you fit into your life? Who are you really as a person outside of this homeschool or mom role, or this mom role? Or, there's how are you dealing with your big emotions? Are you aware of how to enable your own self-compassionate techniques, or like addressing kindness towards yourself when you're having those big emotions? It goes into a lot of conversations that are really kind of the hardest conversations. The conversations that I have with moms are the ones they don't want to share with their best friend or their mom or their partner, because they don't want other people to hear them in this either angst, anguish, frustration, and knowing that they actually have a place that isn't judging them, that is actually allowing them to feel seen and accepted.
I was checking you out online on your website. You offer something that I have never even delved into. I'd love to know more about it, online retreats. I think for every parent, this is a solution, because particularly when your kids are younger, or if you don't have, I didn't have the budget, all of my money went towards different like activities, and while I was homeschooling, they went to curriculum. But even when I wasn't homeschooling, I didn't have the money set aside for me to go and take a women's conference or anything like that. So you've found a solution. I'd love for you to share that with everyone.
A solution to the money element, or you mean to finding that retreat for them?
Finding that retreat. I mean, if you have a solution for money, we'll take that too.
Yeah. And actually, that's my intention right now, is I'm building a course called Grappling with Overwhelm that is a very accessible course that really this overwhelm concept is something represented in beyond parenting, certainly beyond homeschool parenting, especially these last few years, but trying to build in tools to address that. But the retreat itself, though, is something that I'm offering that I wish that I had way back when, that I had a parent to come alongside me to help me really dig deep into the things that are keeping me from feeling that sense of satisfaction in my parenting role or in my homeschool role, to address all the biggest questions that people have, so that they can find that retreat, really like that time away from their family, but also really digging deep into the things that are keeping them stuck and finding the tools to get out of it.
So this isn't just like a fluffy little like rah encouragement retreat. This sounds like you're gonna, right? It's gonna be good.
It's 4 weeks. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's 4 weeks. I've had some people ask if they could do 8 weeks. But 4 weeks, it's either a virtual one-on-one session with me, and I also have sessions outside of that people can really invest their time to go into that quiet place, figure out what are they really digging deep into, what are the big emotions that they're dealing with. And there's a variety of things that they can go into and explore in that. And hopefully by the end, the intention by the end is to bring them clarity, confidence, and vision in their homeschool and in their homeschool mom world.
The idea is that they would find an hour a week, or is it more time than that they would set aside? 1 hour a week?
1 hour a week for what they could do online, and then 1 hour a week with me. And, I do all the little self-care things. Like I like to throw in my book that I have, which is also ironically called Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. And then add in a $25 self-care package that really is stuff that I love. So I'm sending you the things that are definitely at my home also. And just to pamper you. But the thing that I've heard the most, those things are fun. But the thing that I've heard the most is the sense of perspective that people get by the end, a feeling. I've heard people declare, okay, I came into this wondering if I would have peace in my home, and now at the end I feel like, okay, I've got this. I have perspective on this. Or sometimes people are dealing with some very, very heavy things, and then towards the end they realize, okay, they're with someone, they have someone supporting them, but more than anything, they know what the tools are that they need to use to deal with that big thing. So it's a beautiful place to be. It's a really lovely opportunity for me to connect and walk alongside people.
Yep. And you've been doing this a long enough time that you've made all the mistakes. You can say, I learned from this. This is what I recommend.
Do the biggest thing that I've learned is that it's not about me. And so my entire history and my stories, because I got a lot of them, I don't know if you know that Sarah McLachlan song, Blackbird Singing in the Dead of Night.
Yes.
Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All my life I've been waiting. and that blackbird sings, or what does it do? It arises. And for me, that is the theme of my life. And I feel very strongly that I'm supposed to be here to walk alongside other people so that they can go to that place of freedom and to rise from whatever troubling circumstances they've been in. And my point of reference is this homeschool mom role, but it always goes into every direction in people's lives.
It's so true. Lots of times clients will come wanting to work on, a specific parenting issue, or it could be like a homeschool issue, or, peace in my home, or the siblings are fighting, or, they're not listening, whatever that is. And inevitably we end up in some place of, I feel like a bad mom and I'm ruining my kids and I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And we sort through that. And I'm telling you, whatever you're doing, parenting, career, marriage, kids, homeschooling, whatever it is, if you can do it from a place of peace and acceptance, where you don't have those thoughts of, I'm so awful, I'm failing all the time, I'm ruining them. If you can do it from a place of peace, everything's easier, everything. So it always feels like it's going to be harder, right? It always feels like this is so hard. I can't do this. I can't look at this. I don't want to work on this. And it's never as hard as you think it's going to be.
I think it comes from this presumption that we're supposed to be these perfect godlike creatures with our children and our world and be everything for them. But the reality is we're human beings on this growth trajectory, and we're also growing and learning. And this is the reality of how we're experiencing parenting, is we will be imperfect because we are, but we're also learning and growing from them, and they're learning and growing from us. And that's the reality, rather than we should be doing everything perfectly for them.
So good. Okay. I'm going to put a link to your book so you guys, everyone can get her book. The first of 4 books. There are 4?
Officially, okay. So officially there are 4 books written. I just haven't published them all. And I'm writing a memoir now. So yeah, I'm a writer.
Right. Teresa's writing. That's what she's doing. So I'm going to post a link to her book, Homeschool Mama's Self-Care.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And then tell us, where can people go to learn more about getting coaching or taking part in the online retreat?
Yes. www.capturingthecharmedlife.com. Because though I would love to say that I could have a perfectly charmed life, I have started my blog with that name, and I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to hold to it, because we all want the charmed life. But there are challenges along the way, and we're going to have to transform those challenges into our charms. So anyways, www.capturingthecharmedlife.com.
Love it. And then online, can they find you on Facebook or anywhere else?
I am on Facebook with a Homeschool Mama support group, but where you'll find me most active is on Instagram at Homeschool Mama Self-Care. And you can have tea with me on Sunday.
Oh, lovely. Sunday tea time. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for the encouragement. If nothing else, friends, please hear the encouragement from both of us. We've been homeschooling enough for a long enough time to know that we were never supposed to be perfect. We were never supposed to have it all together. We just keep showing up and trying to reach the hearts of our kids. That's what it's all about. So if you're listening and you're like, "Oh, I really want to homeschool, but I'm afraid," or "I am homeschooling, but it's not fun for anyone right now," maybe that's where you're at. Or you're a parent and you're like, "You know what? I really just like Teresa. I like her stories and I'd love to get some coaching from her, just some life coaching, some parent coaching." Reach out. Let her know that you came from Families Matter Most, and we will celebrate together. Thanks so much, Teresa.
Thank you for having me.
Families Matter Most with Jen Dean, part of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network.
Have you booked a free strategy call yet? Because I offer free one-on-one video chats to see what coaching could be like for you. So if you've never tried it, you need to book a free strategy call right now. There's private coaching if you want help in your parenting, if you want help to deal with some anger, to work on some of your kids' negative behaviors, because yep, they all have them. If you want that, you're going to want private coaching. But also if you want to work on you, if you're in a place where you would say, "You know what, I need to work on myself so that I can show up better for my family, so that I can take care of stress and anger, so that I can be a better mom, that I can show up and be more positive to the people in my life. If that is where you're at, then book this call. Let's see if private coaching or group health coaching would be a good fit for you. Book a free strategy call today.